Cuphead Master Quest, a mod that was released for Cuphead on March 30th, 2020 that made an already difficult game 10 times harder than it should be, and I'm here to tell you how I beat it. Now for the first boss of this mod. The tutorial. No, I'm kidding, but you're going to want to get the coin so that you're able to buy everything you need in the first aisle. But after the tutorial, you also want to do Forest Follies and get the coins from there. And just note, this mod does not change the running guns in any way, so they're exactly the same as usual. Also, throughout this video, I will be explaining these bosses without the use of the smoke bomb because my dumbass decided to buy 3 guns when I should have only gotten 2 guns plus the smoke bomb. But besides that, it's now time for the first boss for real, the root pack. The root pack is going to be the easiest fight in this mod because big whoop, it's the easiest boss in general, but also because of the first 2 phases being basically the same as the regular game, only that the attacks are faster than normal and it has more health. For this fight, you're going to want to equip the roundabout and spread so that you're able to have damage be dealt throughout the entirety of this phase. For the first phase, you're going to want to stay on the left side of the screen, either at the far left or near the middle so that you're able to dodge the dirt that he spits out without being hit. You're also going to want to parry all the pink dirt because it will help make the phase go by faster by using your special after the third set of dirt he spits out, since the bosses in this mod have so much more HP than they usually do in expert mode. So yeah, parry the pink ones and use your special when you can. For the second phase, all you're going to need to do is use the spread until the tears start to fall, and then use the roundabout for the rest of the phase so you're able to always get damage in. You're also going to need really good reflexes for this phase since the tears drop super fast, so you're gonna really need to stay focused and try not to get hit because for the final phase, you're gonna need all the health in your kit in order to have the best chance you can in finishing off the boss. For this phase, you're gonna want to use spread right off the bat and get as much damage as possible before the carrots come flying towards you. Once the carrots have traveled a decent way down, the carrot will start shooting his beams at you but way faster than usual. So you'll want to switch to the roundabout to kill off the carrots flying at you while also dodging the carrots. I'm not too sure how to explain this, but I've said carrot way too many times and it's a pattern that just came to me while I was playing, so I'll just play it on screen for you throughout this part of the video so you can see what I do, and hopefully you guys will be able to understand exactly how I did it. Also, just experience alone in the game will help you a lot in beating all these bosses, so just because you see me do it in this video doesn't mean that you'll necessarily be able to do it in the same manner, or this may be the way that'll come to you naturally. It's just how I was able to do it. Now for the next boss, Grande, and wow, is the jump in difficulty from the root pack. This boss mechanically isn't as difficult as the root pack, but is very unpredictable, which is why it's so difficult. But let's get into it. For this boss, you're gonna need to equip the roundabout and spread, but in my run, I used a lobber and spread to beat it because I'm an idiot who bought 3 guns. So the first phase is pretty much the same as the original, but every now and then he'll do a super jump where he'll jump off screen into the air and go back to normal, and that pattern continues throughout the entire phase. A good tip for this is that when he does a super jump, if he jumps near the wall, he will bounce off it, but if he jumps far from the wall, he will not bounce off it and land on the far side of either side of the screen. Once the second phase begins, he will start doing short jumps, and once in a while he will do a big jump like he normally does. During this phase, you're going to want to stay close to him and use the spread, so once he switches sides or punches you, you can then dash under him and continue to shoot at him. This is the main and hardest mechanic of this boss fight because sometimes he stops midway jump animation, which throws you off your timing completely. So you're going to need to control your timing for when to dash and make sure it doesn't become an automatic thing, and make sure you're in control of your movements. Now for the third and final phase, which isn't too difficult but relies on your patience, which is the main theme of this boss fight. This phase actually adds something new to the game, which is that once the gravestone smashes Goopy, he actually gets 2 small minions that also appear in Forest Follies. They act the exact same as that level but have a little more health to them and takes a shorter time to respawn. So on this part, just take your time and try not to rush it, because if you don't, you will end up dying like I did time and time again. So take your time and choose wisely for when you use your super, because when you do that, it leaves you vulnerable for an attack because a slam attack isn't in a strict pattern as it usually is in regular mode. Also, at some points in the fight, you're going to want to kill the small minions just to make your life easier when doing this. Make sure to do this when you're safe and there's a guarantee of no damage to be dealt to you. I think that's all for this fight. Now let's move on to Hilda Berg, which is one of the more difficult fights in this mod. Alright, now since this is a plain boss, of course, you don't have to equip anything in specific. You only get 1 gun and that's it, so you already know this is going to be a difficult one. The first thing you should know is that there's a set pattern of how the transformations come out. Just like expert mode, it will be in the same order every time you play out this fight. The pattern goes as follows: the bull, the ladies, and the archer. Yes, I don't know their actual names, I'm just gonna go off their looks. Yes, in this fight, you do get to take on every single one of Hilda Berg's transformations instead of just 2 of them plus the final phase moon. Now with that explanation out of the way, let's get into the actual breakdown of the fight. The first phase is pretty simple, it's just your laughs and 1 cannon is sent out to shoot at you, and on rare occasions there will be 2 that'll be sent out instead of just the 1. For the bull, she attacks you more consistently than regular mode. It's pretty much every second, so you really have to be on alert the entire time so you don't get hit. The cannons also come out faster as well during this phase, and to close this phase out, a green and purple cannon comes out at the same time to shoot at you, and this continues into the next Hilda phase along with her laughs and occasional tornadoes. Once this phase ends, 2 purple cannons will be sent out, and as always, it continues into the next phase. During this phase, everything is pretty much the same as the original game, but the attacks from the ladies are more consistent, and the 2 purple cannons come out more consistent as well. And to close this phase out, she sends out 1 green and purple cannon at the same time. During the third and final Hilda phase, as usual, she attacks with her laugh and the tornado, but this time the tornado is more quick than usual, while also having the green and purple cannons being sent out throughout this phase as well. And to close out this phase, she sends out 1 green cannon, and this continues into the next phase. For the archer, there isn't much to say about it other than just dodge the arrow and the homing stars. Destroy them before each arrow is shot to make it easier to dodge everything. I'm sorry, but this phase is literally the most stupidest and unfair thing in the world, so literally all you can do is dodge to the best of your ability and shoot the stars when you can. And to end this phase, he sends out 2 green cannons, but occasionally there will be 3 on screen depending on what point the phase ends. Finally, during the final phase of Hilda, there will be 2 green cannons that are sent out throughout this phase along with, you guessed it, her laughs and tornadoes. Now for the actual final phase of the fight, the moon. Throughout this phase, there will be stars coming at you from the right side of the screen, but they will be coming at you at a faster rate and speed than usual. When she starts sending out the UFOs, they will be coming out one after another instead of one being skipped as usual, which makes this way harder since it makes you have a smaller space for you to fly, especially when you have to dodge the UFOs in certain ways while also having to dodge the stars coming at you. A big tip for this fight is, as always, don't rush this and be very careful when dodging the stars while also making sure you pay attention to the colors of the UFOs. Also, only use your specials when she sends out the UFOs for maximum damage on your rockets, and that's about it for this fight. I know it sounds super simple when explaining it, but this phase is super difficult and just takes a bunch of practice to get down unless you are already really good at the plane levels. The next thing we'll be completing is the Mausoleum before the next bunch of bosses. For this, there are specific tips you have to follow to beat this because you won't be able to beat it without them, so let's go. For the first phase, you just parry the ghosts as usual, but they come at you faster than usual, so you'll have to be a bit faster with it. For the second phase, you have to stay on the platform, and once you see both ghosts coming at you, you have to parry one of the ghosts, most preferably the left one, and then dash to the right immediately and parry it as fast as possible. And for the last phase, you want to drop from the platform and stay on the floor to finish off the Mausoleum because the ghosts will be coming at you the fastest in this phase, but will be lower than the other phases. Also, sometimes the ghosts will arrive one on top of the other, so you'll have to parry from the bottom up. And finally, on rare occasions, the elder ghost will miss the jar if you manage to let one slip past you, but this is completely locked, so I don't know about the pattern with this. And now that we have acquired the super art, we can now finish the 2 other bosses to finish off this aisle. The first boss out of the 2 left we'll be going over is Cagney Carnation, only because there's a shorter explanation for this than Ribby and Croaks. So let's go. For this fight, you're going to want to equip the roundabout and the spread so that you can stay as far away as you can and still get hits off, which is really useful in this fight, especially the last phase, so let's get to it. For the first phase, the attacks will be thrown at you as follows. He will extend his face either above or below the platform, and this will be at a much faster rate than regular mode. 2, he will throw 5 acorns at you instead of the 3 he usually does, and the boomerang will stay the same. 3, he will throw a white ball that will explode after a few seconds while also shooting seeds from time to time, just like in regular mode. This continues for about 2 minutes with constant attacks onto him until he transforms into the final phase. For this phase, he will still wrap the platforms in vines, but instead of it being 1 at a time, it will be 2 at a time, and you will have to dodge the dandelions while standing on one platform, which is pretty hard to keep up for 2 minutes straight. This is pretty much the biggest challenge of the entire fight because at any moment you can fuck up and either fall off a platform or get hit by a dandelion on accident. A big tip for this phase is to stay in the middle platform so it'll be easier to traverse between each platform, and while also making it a little easier to dodge the dandelions. Just for a little context as to why I say this fight is so hard, it took me probably 3 or 4 days to defeat this boss. Even though it may sound easy explaining it, it's so much harder when actually attempting it. But now it's time to face off with the final boss of this aisle, which is arguably the most mechanically difficult one in this entire aisle, both regular and master quest, Ribby and Croaks. For this fight, you want to have the roundabout and spread equipped for obvious reasons previously stated. In the first phase, both frogs shoot out their attacks at the same time, only in this mod there will be more fireflies than normal, and the punches are thrown out at the same speed as usual. What you want to do in this phase is once the fight starts, move close to them and use the spread to get as much damage in as possible. And once the first 3 fireflies are thrown out, kill them with the spread and dash all the way to the left in order to dodge the punches. While dodging the punches, keep the roundabout equipped and wait until the top fist is thrown out for the second time, so that you will then be able to kill off the fireflies with the spread and continue this pattern throughout this phase until the end of the phase. Once the phase is over, over, Ribby, the shorter frog, spins out to the left as usual, but in this mod he moves at lightning speed, so you'll either have to move all the way to the left before he moves or jump over him in time so that you don't get hit. For the second phase, Croaks, the taller frog, still turns into a fan, not changing whatsoever, while Ribby's attacks do change drastically. What he does now is throws out one set of punches, but these are not at the same speed as the first phase. These punches are also at lightning speed, so a good way to dodge the bottom one, which will always come out first, is at the moment his throwing animation activates, you want to jump instantly to dodge the bottom one and instantly duck to dodge the middle one. Then start dashing to the right so you don't get blown into Ribby and take unnecessary damage. Now regarding the ringed balls that he throws out, he will always send out 3 of them, but in different variations of timing each time. For example, he might send all 3 of them out right away, or he might send out 2 first, waits a second, and then sends out the last one. These are the 2 attacks that he sends out. I don't have any advice for the ringed balls, just that you gotta dodge them to the best of your ability. And to end this phase out, he rolls back to the right in a slower fashion, just like in regular mode, to transform into the third phase. Now this phase is probably the hardest thing in the boss fight and probably in the entire isle, mostly because you won't have a lot of practice with it since it is the final phase, so you'll have to take in as much information as you can when you do get to it, so you'll probably have a lot of trouble with it when you first start out, but will get better at it the more you get the chance to play it. First of all, let's talk about these coins because they come out really quick and they're basically impossible to dodge. I highly recommend that you purchase the smoke bomb for this if you want to make it easier, but if you're an idiot like me who bought 3 weapons, then this is what you're gonna have to do. Once the phase starts, dash all the way to the left, and once the first 2 coins come out, jump over the first and dash under the second one. You then want to dash back to the left and wait for one of the coins to fly directly to you and then dash under that one. Then move your character to the right, then left to dodge the incoming coins, and then jump to the right and parry the hand. Important note, once you parry the hand, make sure you move forward and not backwards, or else the final coin that he spits out will hit you, so always move forward, not backward when you do this parry. Now for the actual attacks, now that this complicated shit is out of the way. The tigers and bulls are pretty much the same, except they come out a little faster than usual, not the worst thing in the world, but the frogs are a bigger issue because instead of them being consistently fast, they start out pretty fast and slow down near the end. Now I know what you're asking, why is this a problem? Well, the slower it gets, the harder is it to jump from platform to platform, since you never want to touch the ground since you risk being hit. But in this case, it's okay because they become very slow, which means that you have a second to be on the floor before the platform actually reaches you. This spin isn't ideal because it is the highest risk spin that you can take damage from, and I managed to get the spin 5 times in a row on my winning run, so there's that. In reality, the biggest challenge in this is the coins that he spits out. Once you get a good handle on that and the pattern, it will make it a little bit easier, but honestly it takes a lot of practice to get down, so get ready for several attempts, so good luck, you're gonna need it. And that's about it for this video. I hope I got my point across for each boss in this mod, and I hope you guys understood what I was trying to say, but if you didn't, I will be uploading a full video with all my winning attempts from my live stream somewhere on the screen for you to click. So if you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this, because remember, I will be releasing another 3 videos like this for the other aisles, so stay tuned. And also, if you guys are interested, check out my live streams. I pretty much stream daily and I do basically all my challenges there when I do them, and we all get to just chill and have fun there. So check that out, and as always, at the end of every video, I hope you'll have an amazing rest of your day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you all next time.